Welcome to the Cunningham Piano Show, where we explore life between the keys. I'm your host, Hugh Sung, and it is my great privilege to welcome to the show Dean Benjamin Harding. Benjamin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Hugh.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful to have you here. You are the Dean of Music at Cairn University, which is a Christian university. But before we get into your duties at that wonderful school, I thought to give you an opportunity to talk about your musical beginnings. Tell me how you got started with the piano.
Sure. I grew up in Dipper Harbour, New Brunswick, Canada.
What a cool town, Dipper Harbour.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of water? Were you by
the water? A lot
of
of water. I grew up near the Bay of Fundy, which has the highest tides in the world.
Oh, interesting.
Highest tides in the world, and it's a real, like a seventh wonder of the world almost. Wow. Yeah.
It's interesting. I've interviewed a number of musicians who describe their hometowns as being these incredibly beautiful places. Yeah. I keep asking the same question. Why in the world would you leave?
Yeah, it was for music. I really wanted to pursue music at a high level and really engage with a teacher that really cared about me and really wanted to nurture my musical abilities.
I understand that your family actually helped you with your musical beginnings.
Absolutely.
And tell me a little bit about your family's musical contribution.
Yeah, so growing up in rural Atlantic Canada, we went through the Royal Conservatory of Music program, which is the largest, was the largest correspondence program for musicians. So my grandmother wanted to teach us so that we could play in our church hymns. And so my parents were very supportive of that. My father played by ear. He played a lot of bluegrass and folk music, and so we were singing a lot and sharing in music together from a variety of styles and genres.
That's so beautiful. It's interesting because I actually have the same background. My parents got me started in music for exactly the same reason.
Oh my goodness.
They heard a sermon about somebody talking about, one of the pastors talking about King David and how he was such a wonderful man, but also a musician. You know, he played the harp to soothe King Saul's troubled soul, and they said, oh, we want our son to be able to do exactly what you described, to be able to play hymns. That was their only goal for me.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, it led to other things. Tell us a little bit about your American journey. Obviously, it sounds like you found somebody very, very special that inspired you to leave such a beautiful and loving home environment.
I connected to music when I was in junior high school and then really found a source of expression where music could go beyond words. It could really speak to what I was feeling as a young teenager. And so then I came to the Csehy Summer School of Music in Philadelphia to meet with a teacher named Samuel Hsu. Yeah. And you know Sam. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah,
he passed a few years ago, but it's amazing. I talked to so many people who still speak of him as, you know, so lovingly. But you describe him, because I think you knew him better than I did. I only knew him as an acquaintance.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it actually was over a conversation of Debussy that he just grabbed my heart. He said that every good and perfect gift comes from the Father of Lights. And that really resonated with me as a young musician who was following a path of a spiritual journey and following a path of a musical journey. And he was able to put them both together and show me how they came together in a real meaningful way.
It's interesting because I think a lot of musicians, especially young musicians, who are at a high level of training, they feel a lot of pressure to perform, pressure to excel. And it's all up to them, how hard they practice, how diligent they are, and it can be, frankly, it can be overwhelming, you know, if it's all up to you. And of course, then, where do you find your inspiration? And it's especially scary once you leave school.
What to do?
You go, who are you? Who am I? And while music expresses a lot of those, I think, deeper questions, it doesn't always provide the answers in and of itself. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely.
It sounds like you can speak to that a little
Absolutely.
bit.
So, you know, when I was a young person pursuing music school, I had a lot of questions. A lot of questions about life, a lot of questions about who I was as a human being. And I felt like coming to study with Samuel Hsu at Philadelphia College of Bible at the time, but now it's called Cairn University.
So it's the same school, but
same school, different name. Okay. And I came to a place where the integration of faith and music was so instrumental in developing me as a complete human being. I find musicians have a lot of questions, and I, for one, did and still do to a certain extent, and always trying to learn about my life and how my life fits in this big world, the big universe that we live in. And so I was able to ask those big questions of purpose, of why am I doing what I'm doing, and ask those questions in a spiritual environment like Cairn University.
You know, I had the opportunity a little while ago to interview somebody who had the opportunity to visit a refugee camp. And in this refugee camp, of course, these are people who have been stripped of all the basics. They have no home, clothing, food, shelter. All the basics of life are perilously, they're just holding on to whatever is there. He brought with him toy flutes.
Wow.
And he was there to teach the children how to make music. And I'm not sure if he had thought about it. He was a musician. He wanted to share what he knew best. What struck me so much was the fact that animals need shelter. Animals need food. Animals, need to be warm. But music is a uniquely human, spiritual need. Almost as great. It showed these children, they weren't animals. They were human beings who needed that higher sense of creativity, expression. I was almost moved to tears when he told me that story. And I think, again, I think it's a mistake for musicians to try to separate, well, I play the piano, or I'm a musician, the spiritual stuff is just something, and I think many musicians of all different perspectives start to realize there's a very deep spiritual connection of some sort.
And for me, people are created in the image of God. As a Christian man, that's what I believe. I believe that people are created in the image of God, and they're noble human beings that need love, care, and music.
And it's this means of expression. And we could go on all night. It's so wonderful and refreshing to talk to you about this. But I know you have some music to share with us. So tell us a little bit about what you'd like to share.
Sure, I'm going to share L'Île Joyeuse by Debussy.
What a beautiful name. So I don't speak French. Tell us a little bit about what this means.
Well, L'Île Joyeuse could be translated Island of Joy. What
a great, great title. So I assume this is going to be a very happy piece.
Absolutely.
For people who've never heard Debussy, who've never heard this particular piece, help us prime our ears. What are we going to be hearing?
Sure.
How does he express that joy?
Well, first he gives it a title. He gives this title Island of Joy. So he really wants to communicate to the listener in vivid colors and pictures what that would look like with sound.
It's interesting you say that, because pictures, colors, how does the piano create a color? How does the piano create a picture? It's going to be very interesting to hear how you and Mr. Debussy approach this.
Yeah, so he uses all kinds of different kinds of scales and different kinds of rhythmic patterns and articulations and dynamics. Sometimes it's very intimate and quiet, sometimes it's very overt and extroverted. And he does an amazing job. He's an amazing composer that just takes sound and literally you can almost see fireworks happening in your brain.
Let's go ahead and hear this wonderful piece.
Great.
Benjamin, one of the things that strikes me about music like this is how profoundly psychological it is. Where you were describing this as a piece of joy, but as you said, we were trying to anticipate there can be a lot of different kinds of sounds and colors, sometimes extroverted, sometimes introverted. And it's almost like I heard all of those aspects of joy, not just happy, but sometimes contemplative.
That's right.
Just bringing it, holding it back, sometimes exulting. And I love how composers can sometimes be so psychological in studying an emotion to such depth. And you played it so brilliantly.
Well, thank you very much. It's multi-variegated music.
I love that word, variegated.
you look at an emotion from different angles and different perspectives. And isn't that how we experience emotion as human beings? We experience joy sometimes in going through tremendous trial and pain.
That's interesting.
And sometimes just overt happiness, sometimes in quiet moments, and sometimes in real excited moments. So he's looking at joy and really pleasure from all different kinds of angles.
Such a prism, an amazing, multifaceted prism. Before we go, I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about Cairn University, Philadelphia College of Bibles, where you studied with Professor Samuel Hsu, of course. Now you've gone full circle. Now you are the Dean of Music at the very school that you studied. What a wonderful opportunity. Tell me a little bit about the program there, and maybe you can even share about your vision for the future.
Sure, absolutely. Cairn University is a really exciting place right now. We're offering so many different kinds of programs and areas of study. And it's a joy to go to work every day because I get to interact with some of the most curious and insightful minds that can be studying in higher education today. They're wonderful people, and I learned just as much as I think they're learning at Cairn University with these amazing, energetic young people. In the School of Music, we have bachelor programs, Bachelor of Music and Performance Composition, Music Education. Music Education is a wonderful program. We've had a 100% job placement rate in the last 5 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's phenomenal.
Okay.
And a brand new Worship and Music program, Bachelor of Music program, that specializes in jazz. And so we have Director of Jazz Studies, Ruth Nightly Floyd, who just oversees our jazz study in that program. And she's assembled a tremendous faculty that encourages students to study the great American tradition of jazz within a worship context. And then in the Bachelor of Music and Performance, we've added David Kim, concertmaster of the Philadelphia Orchestra, Professor of Violin Studies. And so our program's really expanding and attracting wonderful, wonderful students from literally all over the world. We also have a Bachelor of Music program in composition and a Bachelor of Arts degree, which is a liberal arts degree in music, where students are able to put together kind of their own track and own kind of area of study. We just graduated our first banjo major.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and he studied the music of the Civil War. He was really interested in music of the Civil War, and famed harmonica player and arranger and songwriter, guitar player Buddy Green participated on his senior project with him. And I made my fiddle debut. Because I played bluegrass growing up. I didn't want to pass up the opportunity.
I envy you. I really, really envy you. That is remarkable.
So it was really fun for me to do. But Cairn is a growing, vibrant program. Our faculty, of course, are from the Philadelphia area. We traffic in the arts around here. And it's just it's such a vibrant place for creativity, for musicianship, for technology, as you know, in music, and just delighted to be a part of it.
Benjamin, thank you so much for being so gracious with your time, your talent, your gifts, your music, and for sharing your wonderful story. And I know that the Cairn University community must be so fortunate and so happy to have you.
It's a pleasure to serve there, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to leave a comment and to subscribe so that we can let you know whenever we have new ones. For the Cunningham Piano Show, I'm Hugh Sung. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you